Hello children, today we are going to do the topic air continuation part. In the previous class we learned about air like what is air, what is atmosphere, what are the different layers of the atmosphere and their significance, what are the components of the atmosphere and their importance. And today we are going to continue this chapter with the topic weather and climate. So let's begin with the definition of weather and climate. Weather is the day to day changes in the condition of the atmosphere. That means for a short period of time, condition of atmosphere changes, then that is what we know as weather. And then what is climate? The average weather condition of a place over a long period of time represents the climate of a place. So here we know one is for a short period of time, other is for a long period of time. Here, after that we have the topic temperature. So let's know what is temperature. The degree of hotness and coldness of an object is known as temperature. So atmosphere also has this temperature. The temperature of the atmosphere changes not only between day and night but also from season to season. We all experience that. Temperature is more in the daytime as compared to night, and temperature is different in different season. Winter is more cold and less in temperature as compared to summer, like that. Then, what are the factors which mark the changes in the temperature of the atmosphere? First, we have insolation. So, let's know first insolation. Insolation is an important factor that influences the distribution of temperature. First, insolation is the incoming solar energy intercepted by the earth. So here we have the definition. It is the incoming solar energy received by the earth. And this insolation received on the surface of the earth is not similar everywhere. Some part of the earth receive more insolation as compared to other part of the earth. Then the amount of insolation decreases from equator towards the pole. So equator receives the highest amount of insolation and it decreases away from the equator. So pole receive the less amount of insolation. Therefore, the temperature decreases in the same manner. From equator to pole, there is decrease of temperature. So temperature in cities is much higher than that of the village. That means village and the city also has difference in the temperature of the atmosphere. The concrete and the metal in buildings and asphalt of road get heated up during the daytime, which is released during the night. So urban is hotter in temperature as compared to rural areas. After that, we move on to air pressure. How can we define this air pressure? It can be defined as the pressure exerted by the weight of air on the surface of the earth. Every object has weight. Same as that atmosphere also has its weight. And because of that weight, a pressure is given on the surface of the earth by atmosphere. The air pressure is highest at the sea level as the weight of the air is more there. As thickness is more, because of that weight is also more there and pressure is highest in the sea level. and decreases with height. If there is increase in the height of the level of the land, then there is decrease of the weight of the atmosphere. That's why less pressure is given to that. That's why we have highest pressure at the sea level and decrease or less pressure at the elevated areas like mountains and plateaus. Then we have horizontally the distribution of air pressure is influenced by temperature of air at a given place. Horizontally the distribution of air pressure is influenced by temperature of the air. That means air pressure is not only affected by the weight of the air, it also affected by the temperature of the air. So we have two factors which affect the air pressure. One is weight of the air, a pressure of the air. Other one is temperature of the air. So where temperature is high, the air gets heated and rise, which created a low pressure area. Where there is high temperature in the air, then it heated and rises. When air is heated, it becomes riser, and because of that, low pressure is created. So how low pressure is created? When temperature of the air gets heated and then rises air, which created the low pressure belt. How low pressure is associated with cloudy skies and wet weather? You have to remember this. Low pressure is associated with cloudy skies and wet weather, because where there is very high intense heat, high temperature in an area, then air gets heated and it rises up. When it reaches to the higher part of the sky, it become cool down, and then after the temperature reduce, it form clouds and then goes rainfall there. So wet weather is there. So where the temperature is low, the air is cold, and therefore heavy air sink and creates high pressure area. Opposite to low pressure areas, we have high pressure areas. So where do we'll have high pressure area? Where there is low temperature, cold area. Then airs become cold and heavy. It wet become more. And then heavy air sink and creates a high pressure area. High pressure is associated with clear and sunny skies, opposite to the low pressure areas where we have cloudy skies and wet weather, as there is no much cloud formation and no rainfall. So high pressure area is clear sky and sunny skies. So the air always move from high pressure areas to low pressure area. We have movement of air because of these two high pressure and low pressure areas. If there are no high pressure and low pressure, then there won't be movement of the air and we won't experience wind. We have movement of the air from high pressure to low pressure area. That's why we have wind. So next we have picture of high pressure areas and low pressure areas. High pressure areas, as I said, develop in the cold areas where the weight of the air is heavy and air sink down. Air from different areas converge here. Air from this area diverge to different direction, and in low pressure areas, air from different areas converge. Next, we have wind. As I said, because of the development of low pressure areas and high pressure area, we have movement of air from high pressure to the low pressure areas. This is what we know as wind. And this wind can be broadly divided into three types. Permanent winds. The trade winds, the westerlies and easterlies, are the permanent winds of the earth. These winds blow constantly throughout the year in a particular direction. So permanent wind are those winds which move in a particular direction throughout the year. They never change their direction of movement. Then that is known as permanent wind. And we have the example of trade winds, westerlies, easterlies. And second, we have seasonal winds after permanent wind. This wind change their direction in different seasons. So those wind which change their direction of movement with the change of the season is known as seasonal winds. For example, we have monsoon wind in India. Summer, this wind comes from sea to land, and winter, it comes to sea from land. So, third we have is the local wind. This wind blow during a particular period of a day or a year in a small area. For example, land and sea breeze, we have wind called Lu, hot dry local wind of northern plains of India. So these are some of the example of local wind. So remember, local wind are those which blow only during a particular period of a day or year in a small area. So after we have this three different types of wind, we have a picture here to show you permanent winds of the earth. We have three cells on both the side of northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. We have Hartley cell, Ferrel cell, polar cell, both in the northern and southern hemisphere. And Hartley cell, we have trade winds, which is moving permanently from northeast direction. And we have Ferrel cell. In this cell of the earth, this part of the earth, a wind is moving. That wind is known as westerlies, as it moves from west direction to east permanently. And we have polar easterlies, polar region. We have wind moving from east direction. So here we have the permanent winds of the world. After we have this, next the moistures. What is moisture? When water get evaporated from the land, from different water bodies of the land, the moisture or the water vapor reach to the air, and this moisture or water vapor in the air at any time is known as humidity. So what is humidity? Humidity is the moisture present in the air at any time is what we know as humidity. When the air is full of water vapor, we call it a humid day. As the air gets warmer, its capacity to hold the water vapor increases, and so it becomes more and more humid. Then, when the water vapor rises, it starts cooling. When this water vapor rises, it starts cooling. Why it start cooling? When wind reach a height in the atmosphere where there is very cold temperature, wind or the water vapor present in the wind become cooler and cooler, and then the water vapor condenses, causing formation of droplets of water. Then clouds form. These droplets of water clouds are just masses of such water droplets. When this droplet of water become too heavy to float in the air, then they come down as precipitation. So here you have to know what is precipitation. The release of the moisture from the atmosphere is known as precipitation. It may be in liquid form, it may be in solid form. When it is in liquid form, it is known as rain, and when it is in solid form, it is known as snow. So here we have a picture to know the formation of cloud and causing of the rainfall. When two different air masses converge toward each other, that is cold air mass and warm air mass. So when these two come toward each other, then when they come in contact with each other, then a boundary zone develops between these two air masses known as front. And then cold air, what to say this one, when the warm air overrides the cold airs, then there is development of clouds. So here is the picture of that. Then, as we just have no rainfall, we have to know three different types of rainfall: the convectional rainfall, the orographic rainfall, and the cyclonic rainfall. Before we know in detail about this convectional, orographic, and cyclonic rainfall, let's know the importance of rainfall. It is very important for the survival of plants and animals. It brings fresh water to the earth's surface. If rainfall is less, water scarcity and drought occur. And on the other hand, if it is more, flood take place. So here we have the importance of rainfall. So let's see again the three types of rainfall. First we have the picture of convectional rainfall. In daytime there is intense heat over the earth's surface, then air gets warm off, and this warm air rises. As the air warms off, it rises upward vertically, and when it reaches a certain height where it cools down and cloud is formed. And then after that, water droplets accumulated fall down as rain due to the gravity of the earth. So where this air cool down and condense with a certain height, that height or that area of the atmosphere is the dew point. Okay, with the reach of the dew point, air cool down, condense, and cloud form, and cause rainfall. And this type of rainfall is caused for a short period of time in the daytime. Then next we have orographic rainfall. When the moisture laden winds from the sea is blocked by mountain areas, then airs move vertically upward as it is blocked by the mountains, and because of its movement, because of its vertical movement, it reached to the dew point, a certain area which is we known the certain area of the atmosphere where cloud form. Then with the reach of that area, cloud is formed and the rainfall is goes heavily on the windward side in red line. And when this wind cross the mountain and move from the top of the hill to the downward, the temperature of the air become cooler, so it can hold more water. And along with that, moisture of the wind also reduce. Because of that, in windward side, blue in color, there is less rainfall. So this is the orographic rainfall. Last, we have frontal or cyclonic rainfall. When warm air forced to rise over cold air, a boundary zone between the air mass develop, and then warm air overrides the cold air and warm air rises, and because of that cloud is formed, then rainfall goes, then that is known as cyclonic rainfall. So that's all for today. Thank you.